listeners. Justin Egan, Craveworthy Brand, introducing this week's amazing episode dropping today. During Craveworthy founder Gregg Majewski's appearance on the FranchiseU podcast with Dr. Kathy Glosser, he delves into the significance of having an exceptional team that aligns with the company's vision and values. He also discusses the role of leadership in setting that clear vision and empowering the team to act decisively. Majewski also took the time to emphasize the importance of human interaction and hospitality in the restaurant business, particularly in the QSR sector. The heart and soul of Craveworthy Brands is Majewski's commitment to franchisee success. He discusses providing essential tools and support to help them avoid common industry pitfalls. He views franchisees as partners and values learning from their innovative ideas, and his proudest achievements come from helping others grow into successful leaders. He attributes much of his success to mentorship, particularly from the older generation, and draws from his time at Jimmy John's to build consistency in culture, quality food, and fast delivery as keys to success. So stop what you're doing, listen to this episode, and subscribe to Room for Seconds for more inspirational content like what you're about to hear. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the episode.
Gregg, there is so much to talk about with your background as well as your brands, but you are definitely the franchise visionary. So let's talk a little bit about your background and career, and then we'll get into Craveworthy. So welcome. Glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. So you started your franchising executive career at Jimmy John's, and I loved what I read that you took it from 33 restaurants to 300. And you had 3 different chief roles, which was also very interesting. Obviously CEO, but chief operating officer and chief financial officer, both very different roles. But from there, you continued in the restaurant space. You have your own investment firm, Wildcat Expansion, that you've had for a long time. And at first I thought, why Wildcat? And then I saw you are a UK grad. So I definitely understand that. That makes total sense. So I get that. And then in 2020,
go blue.
Well, okay, I'll let you say that. I'm just teasing. It's a friendly rivalry.
I know.
Rivalry.
Red.
Yeah. So in 2021, you took on Mongolian Concepts Restaurant Group that had 3 brands. And then in 2023, you became the CEO of Craveworthy Brands. So let's talk a little bit more about your career. You have been involved in so many brands, and Craveworthy is just incredible. But you have been on the restaurant side and the franchising business and investment business. Can you give us a few highlights of your career, please?
I always tell people I was the luckiest kid out of school that could ever possibly be, that I had an opportunity to join a company that was on a trajectory like Jimmy John's.
Yes.
And I got to learn an industry that I fell in love with, basically by being thrown into a pool and being told how to swim. It was either we're going to swim or we were going to sink. Neither of us really knew what we were doing at that point. And so it was, let's scramble to figure it out and grow as fast as we could and make sure that the only thing that we cared about was how to take care of our franchisees. And if we could get them to be making money, we knew we had something that was going to be extremely important and that people would be lining up for. And I mean, that was sort of the mantra that we walked to at that point. And it was the greatest experience of my life in the business world up to now, because I got to learn everything. I got to be a part of every decision. I got to be a part of every aspect of the business, and we got to completely rock and get to where we were. And then, I mean, leaving at 300 and 700 sold, that was one heck of a ride.
Yeah. And so from there, you decided to have an investment firm. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So one of the things that I negotiated with Jimmy when I was negotiating my first deal was that I told him I wanted to become a franchisee. So I actually negotiated in my first contract the rights to buy stores as I was still part of the company. So I actually started Wildcat while I was still there, and I opened up my first Jimmy John's in 1999. And then from there, we've continued to grow that side of the business. And that was sort of why when it was time to leave Jimmy John's on the corporate side, I had already built up my own franchising company at that point, that it was more of a let's do something now and just be the entrepreneurial side. And get out of the franchising side for a little bit and just be a franchisee.
So just be a franchisee. I have to smile at that because Gregg, you know, that's a lot of work. So right now you're currently a franchisee and a franchisor.
Yep.
How do you think?
So many concepts, actually.
It sounds like it. So how do you manage all of that?
You have to have absolutely incredible people that you can believe in and that believe in the way that you do things. And that's the most important part of any company, but more important when you're trying to do so much at one time. So I've become very, very good at enabling my team to be me and to be my voice and to be my proxy on every decision. And I surround myself with people that believe the same things that I believe and that they have the same philosophy, but more importantly, the same heart that I do. And that's what set us apart from everybody else from the day that I got into this industry, is that we operate with a level of compassion and a level of belief in our people that they're the most important thing. And none of us can do anything that we do without an incredible team. And that was something that took me a while to learn at Jimmy John's. But when I realized that I wasn't the smartest person in the room and I'm never going to be the smartest, I had to surround myself by smarter people that would then help me accomplish the things that we need to do. We joke all the time. We joke all the time that my job is not to be, the operator or anything else. My job now is to be the dreamer. And it's, I have to lay out the dream and the path that we want to go on. And then it's up to my team to sort of take that and figure out a way to get there. But you don't need them to dream years down the line or dream, 1,000 units in, 5 years or $1 billion in sales in 5 years like we want to do at Craveworthy. It's my job to dream like that. And then it's our job as a team to figure out how we're going to make what I want to accomplish a reality.
Excellent. That's absolutely foundational to what I teach in a teamwork class I actually have the pleasure of teaching. We talk about the leader has to set the vision, and that's what you do. But you talked about people, and when I did my research, I read so much about you and was really impressed with a lot of things. But one thing that stood out was that you said the human interaction is paramount in the restaurant business, and you would never get away from that. Would you please expound on that?
So everybody's so quick right now to eliminate staff, and the cost of labor is going through the roof, and you're eliminating what makes restaurants special. Anybody can prepare the food that we serve in any restaurant. You can do it at home. What makes it so unique and different is we can now touch them and give them a level of service they can't have at home. So they come for hospitality as much as they come for food and ease and everything else. That hospitality is the key that drives our business. So going up and taking away and putting kiosks everywhere and having that small interaction in QSR, and especially having that interaction of that order process, because it became hard to teach and hard to do, we're taking that away and making it easier on us instead of what's really easier for the customer. And saying thank you and goodbye is important. And telling them that you actually appreciate them picking you, and they have so many choices, to me is something I don't want to get away from. So do you need to have kiosks? Yes. But do you need to find a way to still keep the level of hospitality what people want and experience, and make sure that they know that you're thankful they came into your restaurant? That can't go away. And that's not just saying thank you on the bottom of a check.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be something more.
Mm-hmm. That's a great perspective. And it's also a tenuous line because, as you mentioned, the cost of labor obviously is a struggle for those in the industry. But then how do you continue that human element? And it sounds like that is top of mind for you, which should drive some success.
Yep, always. And I mean, and it goes to all levels, because if you're hospital to your guests, you're hospital to your customers.
Yeah.
If you make their lives better, they're going to make your guests' lives better. And it all goes hand in hand. It doesn't disappear. So a happy team means happy guests, and happy guests means more traffic.
There you go. It's a wonderful cycle. Wonderful cycle.
Yep.
So let's talk about Craveworthy Brands, because there's a lot to unpack there. You have 3 legacy, 5 emerging, and 3 virtual, but it sounds like you are going to continue growing more. But first of all, why the name Craveworthy?
So Craveworthy was something that Jimmy said to me the first day that I started and when we interviewed. He wanted to and believed that his food was craveworthy and that it was something that he wrote on a sheet of paper and told me, as long as this is what we focus on and the quality of the food and fast delivery, we will be special. So it actually goes all the way back to that time. And I've used that for everywhere that I've ever been. And I say it all the time. And when I needed a company name, it was just the perfect one.
I'm Gregg Majewski, and I've been a multi-unit operator for 26 years. I know how great it feels owning the right franchise brand, but choosing the right franchisor feels even better. At Craveworthy Brands, our hospitality-driven culture sets us apart because we're invested in your success at every single stage of your journey. We're operators alongside you, paving the way forward to give you a head start on greatness. Start your franchise journey at craveworthybrands.com.
It is a perfect name. I'm not going to lie, because when I saw that, I thought, oh my gosh, what a great name that is. Because when I think of the best restaurants, that's how I would describe them. And it's not just craving the food, but craving the service, craving the atmosphere, all the things, right?
Correct.
So
all the time.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk about the legacy brands, Genghis Grill, BD's, and Flat Top Grill. So all three have an Asian fusion aspect. And I've actually been to Genghis Grill and BD's. So can you tell us about these three brands?
Yep. So Genghis Grill is the QSR or fast casual version of Asian dining. What we do that is completely different is that instead of having stuff in a steam table and you're coming down and having pre-cooked meal, and no matter what you do, we cook to order. Mm-hmm. So everything is 100% fresh and coming off our grills hot at the time you order it. And that, to me, in today's world, is so unique and different than what everyone else is doing that it allows the customization that a customer wants in today's time. It allows you to always have healthy options. It always allows you to have the freshest product and the freshest ingredients that are going into your dishes. So that's what excited me as more than anything about Genghis or about any of the brands in that emerging or legacy platform, is that Genghis has this incredible offering that fits so good today. Their issue was the box was too big, and they were old restaurants and big boxes, and they didn't know really what they wanted to be. So we rolled out this incredible prototype where we took the box from 4,500 to 5,000 square feet down to 2,200 square feet. Mm. We took the box from having to have 15 people running a shift to 4. And being able to produce the same amount of volume and all that, more in a fast casual environment, but keeping everything else the way that it should be. And that first location, the first prototype, opened up in Columbus, Ohio this past year. Mm. So it was a huge step. BD's is a legacy brand that has probably, at the time, 6,500 square feet or bigger, huge boxes. It is a entertainment center. And it is, again, it got the Asian theme and all that. But the most important thing is it's the entertainment type style of eating. You come in, you hang out at the grill, you have a couple of drinks with your family, and you watch your food get made. And for whatever reason, that is something that kids and the family seem to gravitate towards. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes that brand special, is that it's part of that experience, or experiential dining, I guess is what it's being called now. Mm-hmm. And it's just unique. Food's great, same sort of philosophies. Flat Top Grill is our high-end journey around the world. It's not Asian, but it's cooked in an Asian style because it's just on flat top. But we do Indian, we do a little bit of everything from American to Indian to German. It is basically just a high-end platform for us to serve a little bit higher-end food that is not common in this type of environment.
Ooh, I got to try that one. That one sounds interesting. And then if we move on to your emerging brands, I was just really kind of shocked at the different categories you have. So you have 2 chicken concepts, which no one can argue that chicken is king right now. Mm-hmm. You have Wing It On and Bud Long, such great names. Then you have the Crafted Burger Bar and Tap, that sounds like a bar and grill, a Mediterranean concept, Tsum Tsum, and then Dirty Dough, the gourmet cookie shop. So they are not all actively franchising is what I read, but can you tell us about the plan for these brands going forward?
So the plan with all of them is to franchise them.
Okay, gotcha.
Or in crafted sense to operate corporately and be more of a Brinker style where you get 30 or 40 of a brand and, are very, very happy with that. And if it decides to go franchising, you can, but it's really just a it was a passion project when we created that brand. We wanted to provide a higher level of service and food at a cost that was acceptable in today's world, where families can actually go out and afford to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So our food cost is a little bit higher in there. It's not the most ideal in that sense, but we refuse to take our pricing because we feel families have to have a full service option that they can afford.
Mm-hmm.
Wing and On, Bud Long, Dirty Dough, they're obviously huge franchise plays, and Tsum Tsum. And they all hit a different niche, which is what we look for when we bring in a brand. Yeah, they're two chicken brands, Wing and On and Bud Long, but they're two completely different segments. Wings it's a different animal when you go after a wing consumer. When you go into an everyday chicken environment, you can eat Bud Long, 2 or 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to eat wings 2 or 3 times a week. It's a different niche.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we were okay with having both of them in the portfolio at that time and being able to grow both of them. We attract different customer bases. Tsum Tsum is our version of Kava. So we did a JV with that and the original founders, C3 and Liran out of California. And we decided that we wanted to be a 50-50 partner with that one to grow that brand. That is our opportunity to take Mediterranean to the franchise community and be a direct competitor to Kava. With Kava coming out with so much overvaluation of their stock price, America now knows what this is, so we don't have to re-educate them on what we should do or should not do. They've done all the hard work in educating the consumer base on what this product is, and now we get to ride their tails. No different than what we did at Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's was number 2 on the subcategory. We wanted to be number 2. Subway was the giant we were never going to catch, but we knew we could catch everybody else and be that dominant player.
Mm-hmm.
Dirty Dough was an opportunity that was too good to pass up. It's my first foray into snack brands and a snack franchise, but it owns its distribution and owns the product. So it allows us to now start getting into CPG products and all this other revenue stream that was enticing to me as a diversification of my platform and my portfolio. The model for Dirty Dough is outstanding if you pick the right location, if you operate them, and then if you actually run them like restaurants, you can be very, very successful that way. If it's just an investment and you think that, it's a smaller investment, I can take a gamble and put someone else into it, it's no different than any other restaurant. You've got to actually work it. And if you can, then you can be, hopefully see a return.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gosh, such diverse brands, but a little something for everyone. Which one's growing the fastest right now?
So Dirty Dough is obviously the fastest growing out of any of them because of the whole crumble wars and everything else. They shot out.
Yeah.
Bud Long and Wing and On will be the 2 that actually will compete to the fastest. Soon, once we start franchising later this year, will probably be my fastest growing brand though, because Mediterranean is so hot right now.
Totally. I'll be watching out for that. And then at Craveworthy, you have 3 virtual brands, which is mind-boggling. 2 of them are poised to be introduced this year, but you already have Lucky Cat Pokey available now through Ghost Kitchens, which Ghost Kitchens are kind of a new thing. I guess they've been around a couple of years, but could you talk about those as well as the plans for Scramblin' Eggs and Pastiza?
Yep. So actually we created something called Craveworthy Kitchen. And so Craveworthy Kitchen is what we're using to run our virtual brands in all of our restaurants. So, for example, Lucky Cat is available in the Asian books because the smells and the feels and everything else is available. They will also get 2 other revenue streams or ghost kitchens that fit those book of businesses. So actually, we'll have 16 virtual brands by the end of the year operating in all of our restaurants. And these virtual brands that will operate under Craveworthy Kitchen would then allow our franchisees and our stores to increase top line revenue between 150 and 250,000 by serving these products that we already have the inventory for. And so we're only bringing in 1 or 2 SKUs for every one of these virtual brands. Everything else is there. So now they're able to use that revenue. They'll be able to have the customers will actually be able to come in and order Lucky Cat in a Genghis. We're not going to just be a ghost kitchen. You can order it in our restaurant. And we're now providing you 4 opportunities to come into the same brick and mortar location to order and eat so you have higher transactions. So we've taken virtual brands and sort of have completely spun it on its head and made it part of what we're actually all about.
Okay, that's impressive. So you are leveraging that asset to the nth degree. Because most times, like I think about, I won't name the brands, but I think about brands that run a separate brand in the kitchen. You can't get it when you go into that restaurant. You can only get it if you order it carry out or delivery.
And it becomes a problem, and it becomes a no cook wants to do it because you have your customers in the dining room.
Right.
So now we're all in on this. So my cooks and my teams want to push it because it's part of our family. It's part of what we do every day. And so now they're excited about it because their regular that comes in for Genghis comes in once every month. Now you can get them maybe 3 times a month to come in and have the food because he knows the quality's right. And he can get different products from us at all times.
So, Gregg, I think it's probably fair to say your franchisees are quite happy with this strategy.
We'll see. It's starting to roll out. Yes, they will be once it's all done.
That's great. That's great. And so franchising is your primary growth engine especially for the emerging brands. Why franchising?
So I think franchising is the American dream. And so what makes it so important, so cool is that when franchising was getting started, that was sort of why it was started. It was started to help people achieve the American dream. It wasn't a business focus. It wasn't this was going to be the only thing it was supposed to do. It was supposed to be a way for people to get into and create a generational wealth or have a business of their own that they could operate without having to create it, and have the systems and procedures in place to help them hopefully be successful. And when I learned, I had some of the best mentors in the industry that were the old timers, the old generation before they, passed on, all tell me that this was the great part of this industry was creating that American dream. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And then I've seen it. I've seen my franchisees in Jimmy John's who bought one store with every dollar they have now have 45 stores, and they have a huge amount of wealth. And that's what makes it so exciting, because if you do it and you follow it and you work your butt off in it, you can create this just enormous transitional and generational product.
Mm-hmm.
And you do that because you take a gamble on a franchise, but you have the protections of a franchise too. Don't have to worry about marketing. Don't have to worry about logo. Don't have to worry about all this. You get to focus on just running your business.
Right.
And that's pretty damn cool.
I could not agree more. And you also talked about emerging brands. They don't have the same playing field. What do you mean by that? What are you doing to change that?
So, if you look at the Yums and the Inspires and the Rourkes of the world, they have more money than God to compete and do everything that's needed to sort of get going, or take an idea from somebody and buy that next brand and do what they want with it. Emerging brands, when they get started, know only enough about what their food is and don't really know enough about how to market it or how to sell it or what's the legal ramifications or how do I account for things properly. They're lacking all that sort of business knowledge. They're great operators. They have a great product. It should get to a national stage, where most of them flame out because they make mistakes in those other sides. They don't know how to get from 1 to 2, let alone 2 to 4, let alone to that first 15 franchises. They make mistakes along the way. We want to eliminate their opportunity to have those mistakes by putting a platform above them that's all done it before. So they just have to follow our system to grow, and they're avoiding some of the loopholes or the challenges that they had out there that they would have faced on their own. And that's why the emerging side is so exciting to us. You only need 1 or 2 of those to ever hit. But if you can get enough of them going, you're now creating this sort of incubator site where they can all have an opportunity that they can see a lot faster if they can get to where they wanted to go. And that's the whole idea behind Craveworthy, is giving them those tools and the learnings of 26 years or myself, but overall hundreds and hundreds of years of experience to help them avoid the pitfalls of this industry.
I can see that, and that's needed. When you have that right infrastructure and you have the systems and processes, it makes a huge difference. And let's talk about your infrastructure. So you're a huge platform company. You have a lot of brands, and it seems as if you're growing brands and obviously growing locations. Can you talk a little bit about the infrastructure you have and how that supports your franchisees?
So everything we do is about the franchisees being successful. So we have to make sure the training department is always full, and the things that they're actually needing to touch is where you got to spend the money and make sure you have the tools available. So being in their stores, being present, being their, partner is more important to me than having, 7 people to take care of my needs. Like some people in this industry do. I'm not important. They are. And so we invest every dollar that we have into their operations by giving them purchasing power, giving them op services, having consultants that actually walk into their restaurants for, every 4 to 6 weeks instead of twice a year just to be a cop, having weekly phone calls with your franchisees and sort of making sure that they know what's going on, walking through food costs, understanding their financials. Those are the important parts that a franchisor should be playing. And that's sort of the infrastructure that we build. And to do that, obviously you can't hire industry veterans for every position. You can hire the best people up top that then are able to train and have the culture building that we have as a company on down to newbies in the industry. You also get to promote your individuals for these jobs. So GMs make terrific franchise consultants because they've been running a restaurant, but they're able to have a migration in their career or to another field and get out of the restaurant every day, but still be part of the restaurant every day. And those are the exciting parts. And that's what makes us different than everybody else, is that we truly feel that you must be a partner with everybody that you sell to. And that if they make it or if they're feeling pain, you better be feeling the same pain they are day in and day out.
That is such a great philosophy, because oftentimes one of the things in franchising is that it's difficult to maintain consistency. So some brands or some concepts definitely use franchise business consultants as cops, as you stated, versus the partner. How do you keep the consistency? So what do you do to ensure that your brand locations are consistent?
You make sure the training is right and you invest in the training. And it always comes down to training. And it's the culture that you build, and the leaders in the organization believe that the training is important and the culture is important. Franchisees tend to too. And you just got to be consistent across that board all the time and give them the tools and then hold them accountable to those tools. So if you spend all this money on incredible training, but yet you don't audit them to make sure that they're using the training, then the training is worthless. And so we're a big believer in having the checks and having the balances, that we're auditing to make sure that they're actually using the training in the restaurants. It's not just a tool that's out there. It's a tool that we make sure you're using. And that's part of having this franchise coach instead of just a franchise that he's talking to you about and laying it out and making sure the tools are there. It's also changing the way that we train. In today's world, you can no longer train with somebody hip to hip with you all the day. Kids don't learn that way. They learn on their devices. So coming up with new training platforms and training tools actually entice them to actually do the training. Because for a while, we were just putting videos on TVs and telling them to sit there and watch it. Well, that's not fun, And so we had to find new and exciting ways to have that interaction the way that they live in today's world, more so than anything. And that's what we've done.
Well, that's music to my ears. As the former director of training at KFC US, I promise my listeners, I did not pay you to say that, but I could not agree with you more. And learning is different today. Learning is not watching videos or reading a manual. It has to be interactive and you have to be able to apply it. So I love hearing that. And that makes a lot of sense as to your success. And also, I totally agree with you about making sure the training is getting done. And that is probably the most important component to ensuring execution of your standards. So thank you for that. So what do you look for in your franchise partners? Like, what would a perfect franchisee look like to you?
Somebody that wants to follow a system, but at the same time go out and work a system to their advantage. And someone who knows that they are proud of what they're doing and proud to make an investment in you, and that it matters to them. I don't like the franchisees that are out there that the money doesn't matter and it's just another investment ploy. So when you're building a brand, I think it's extremely important to build with people that are hungry and not people that are just looking for a quick return, because they're not going to build the culture the same way that you need to. So those first 50 franchisees are so important, that you sell the people that are going to employ and bleed the culture of the company and the systems and procedures of it to make it successful. because then they're going to want store number 2, 3, 4, and 5 because they made the first one successful. Then you can start selling to some of the multi-unit guys that have 500, 600, 700 units because you now have a culture base that's not going to be broken and not be diverse in anything. So those are really the people that I like doing business with more than anything, is those hungry individuals that want to change their lives. And it's a tough balancing act because you get offers from people that want to buy 30, 40, 50 stores to sort of lock up a territory, but they're never going to open 30, 40, or 50 stores. It never happens. You're enticed by that money that's going to come in, and because it pays a lot of bills and sort of takes in at things, but they're doing it to protect their investment and protect the territory around them. You know, where you're much better off splitting those 30 or 40 stores with 5 or 6 people that are all going to open up those restaurants, and the brand gets to grow the way it should grow.
It makes a lot of sense. And I know that also you've talked about, I've heard you talk about that you want to help franchisees grow their business within a DMA. So if you have those smaller players, they have options for more of your brands or the ghost kitchen concept.
Yeah,
so you're opening those.
I think if you're going to be a multi-unit franchisee, it's very, very difficult to operate a stores in Cincinnati and then Dallas, Texas, and then you get, I get Minneapolis. It's hard because you got to have infrastructure then in all of those. I think it's way better for the franchisee to win if he can open up restaurants all in the same DMA where his infrastructure is then able to manage that process and manage that structure. I'm one of the few franchisors out there that I don't like the non-competes that are in our agreements. I don't think that I should have an issue if you're at McDonald's and have a McDonald's franchise, but I have a higher end burger concept or chicken. You should be prevented from buying one of my restaurants. Not because it's a conflict of interest, but I'm keeping someone in your DMA that they can then become a better operator of both brands because they're over everything. I have no issue with a chicken guy coming in or me selling to a chicken guy that then buys mine and then down the line goes and be a Popeyes franchisee. That doesn't bother me. Popeyes would hate it. To me, though, why should I care? I want him to be successful. And if my franchisees are successful, I'm successful. And it doesn't matter which brand, they're going to come back to the ones that want to help them be successful and help them be there. And if they can stay in that DMA and have an operator that manages 4 units in a town and it's all different brands, God bless them. You know, they're happier, they're better off for it. And again, they're achieving that American dream.
Well, Gregg, you definitely ascribe to the abundance mentality. And I applaud that. And it's hard to believe we're nearing our end. It seems like there's so much I could talk to you about, but I have a couple last questions about you personally. So first of all, you've really done a lot in your career and you've been involved in so many brands and obviously so many franchise partnerships. What are you most proud of?
So I'm most proud of the people that are now out in the field that represent me that I got to help mold and change. And so I had an individual when I decided to do Craveworthy again, actually give me a coaching tree of all the people at all the different companies that I helped and got. And because I wasn't sure I wanted to do this again. And he looked at me and he said, this is why you do it. You don't need this. You don't need this. Your gift is giving us all the opportunity to grow. And so that's probably my biggest happy point in this industry is seeing that and seeing them be successful.
Well, you're in the right spot for sure. So my last question for you, is there anything that you wish you had known before you started your franchising journey?
So there's a lot. But the biggest thing is really that your franchisees are your partners and that they have to be your partner day in and day out. And if you don't know that and understand that they are your customer as much as your customers that come into the restaurants are, you're not going to be successful in this industry. And too many of us forget that who our customers are. And that would be the thing that I would tell everybody, because you want to do it your way, but yet franchisees come up with some of the greatest ideas in this industry. You know, so if you don't trust them and have them have a voice at your table, you're making a huge mistake. And it takes a long time for the startup franchisees to understand that and to grasp with that, because you always know best. And it was the same issue we had at Jimmy John's. It took us a while to understand that they have great ideas. They're smart people. Let's learn from them and take them.
Hey viewers, thanks again for supporting Room for Seconds. If you found this episode inspiring, interesting, or any bit informative, please hit that little subscribe button down at the bottom so you never miss an episode. In my 26 years in this amazing industry, I've been blessed with incredible mentorship. This show is my way of giving back. Follow me on LinkedIn, search Gregg Majewski, on Twitter, @Gregg_Majewski. If you still have room for more, visit our website at media.craveworthybrands.com. You'll find more videos, shows, notes, blogs, resources, and an easy way to get in touch with the Craveworthy Brands team. I'm your host, Gregg Majewski. Thanks again for tuning in to Room for Seconds.